What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Jimmy Mullen podcast, the second one this week. Don't get used to that, though. I wish I could do that, but, life, and you gotta make money. YouTube is not a sustainable thing for me right now, so I have a job outside of this. I just got a new job, by the way. I had one prior to this, though. It's just that I wasn't working as many hours. But this one I will probably most definitely have consistent hours, so I'll finally be able to put more investment into this. So maybe some new equipment in the near future. Who knows? Maybe some new microphones, maybe a little change up in the background. We shall see. But for now, we're flying solo. This is another solo episode today. I have a couple things I'd like to discuss in regards to the entertainment industry, some movies I've seen recently that I wanted to talk about, as well as some other things that have come up that have been announced, some events that have happened that I'd like to give my thoughts on. So in regards to movies, I'll be talking about 3 movies today. We're talking about Lightyear, Thor, Love and Thunder, and a Dragon Ball Super superhero. I'm also going to be giving a quick rundown on my thoughts on all of the stuff that Marvel and DC announced at San Diego Comic-Con. I know it's old news at this point, but I still wanted to talk about it as I haven't really gotten a chance to publicly. I did record my live reactions to everything, but I just never put it up. So this is what you're getting instead. We're also getting a King Kong show on Disney+. I'm also going to be giving my thoughts on Halloween Ends, going to both theaters and streaming day and day, still, despite other studios going back to exclusively releasing in theaters first. And then I'm going to end it off by talking about the KSI Misfits Boxing event that took place a few weeks ago. Because, believe it or not, I'm a little interested in the influencer boxing scene. Not the entirety of it. There's a lot of it that I don't like, that I don't really care for. But there are bits and pieces that do catch my eye just because of, I guess, nostalgia now, because I'm 21, and a lot of these YouTubers I watched when I was like 13, 14, so it's coming up on about 7, 8 years, 9 years since I've started watching a lot of these creators, so seeing them grow into beating the shit out of each other for money, I think is hilarious. We live in a crazy timeline. But anyway, let's get started, shall we? Okay. I'm going to talk about Lightyear first. I did not get to see this movie in theaters, unfortunately. I just had a lot of shit going on, with different things, and I just couldn't find a day to go to the movies. So I ended up just watching it on Disney+. Unfortunately, it didn't do well at the box office either. I know that me buying one ticket probably wouldn't have helped very much, but to know that it didn't do as well is a little unfortunate. Because, you'd think like, oh, wow, it's a Buzz Lightyear movie. That sounds really cool. But people just didn't give a shit, I guess. Maybe it was because of the fact that Chris Evans voiced Buzz Lightyear and not Tim Allen. Maybe it was because of the way he looks. Maybe it was just the marketing wasn't really all there. Who knows? I think the main factor, though, is the fact that now Disney Plus has movies coming out like 45 days after they've been in theaters. Like, we get them pretty quick now. I especially saw that with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It was like it came out in early May, and by the end of June, it was already on Disney Plus, which I feel like is a little too soon. I feel like we should give theaters like a bit more leeway. But, I mean, it's the pandemic. I understand, a lot of people... they'd rather not go out and go watch a movie, which is unfortunate. But I feel like now, tensions have eased a lot. We're back to normal as much as we can be. And I guess we're still getting better. Like, obviously, we're not fully there. But I feel like we're getting there. We're making progress. It's been over 2 years at this point. I feel like, I had a feeling we were going to be in this for a longer time. I felt like it was going to take a lot longer, but I guess we're getting a little better. I don't know. But anyway, my thoughts on the movie. Honestly, I liked it, but I didn't love it. I feel like the movie was a little too confined. I feel like there's a lot of potential for a Buzz Lightyear movie of like exploring the galaxy, but I feel like, I don't know, the idea of him being stuck on a planet with this crew and then like he misses all this time and like, yeah, that's a cool concept, but I don't know. I feel like if there was a bit more world building and exploration, it probably could have panned out a bit better, in my opinion. I feel like it just feels a bit too grounded with what they gave us, and I just feel like there could have been so much more to it. I think the time travel aspect was really cool. I definitely didn't expect that out of a Buzz Lightyear movie, but I think it's a really cool idea. I like the idea that this is the movie that Andy saw in theaters that made him want to get a Buzz Lightyear toy. Of course, that has a bit, of a little bit of confusion as to like, oh, how much to like is the character like, is he like a real person, or because like it's animated and the entire Toy Story universe is animated, even the humans. So it's like, is this like a equivalent of like a live action Buzz Lightyear movie in his world? There's a lot of questions. I feel like the design could have also been a bit better. I feel like it just feels a bit too human, and the way he looks in the spacesuit looks a little silly, in my opinion. I like him with, regular looking hair, though. I think that's fine. I feel like that looks better, but, it's definitely not perfect. And yeah, I'm going to get into spoilers. This movie's been out. You can watch it on Disney+. But the whole, like, plot twist reveal is that Zurg, who is the villain of the movie, is actually Buzz from the future. I guess, like, the timeline split from what I remember exactly. So like there's two realities, like one where Buzz did not make it and one when he did. We follow the one where he didn't make it and he didn't, do the experiment properly. And then Zurg is the result of it actually working and using all the technology that he's acquired to basically put Star Command on lockdown because they wouldn't let him go up in space or something. I don't know. I thought it was a little weird. But in all honesty, I feel like this would have been a perfect way to cast Tim Allen as this older Buzz. I feel like that would have been better instead of just not having him involved in the movie whatsoever. Whether that's because of, in real life controversies with Tim Allen, whatever it may be. I feel like that argument is also kind of flat because they're also bringing him back for the Santa Claus series that they're making for Disney+. So I feel like it's not too out of the realm that they totally could have had him as Buzz Lightyear, but I see why they didn't do it because you got to admit, watching Toy Story 4, Tim Allen Buzz Lightyear sounds a bit older. Like it's, this is supposed to be like a young Buzz Lightyear. And I think Chris Evans does a great job. I love him as Captain America. Of course, I love him in other movies I've seen him in, like Scott Pilgrim and Knives Out. He does a great job in pretty much any role he's in. Johnny Storm from the 2000s Fantastic Four movies. He does a great job in practically everything he's in. So, he did a fantastic job in the role. I could definitely tell it was Chris Evans. I guess he just has a significant voice. I don't know. But I do get the hate that people have for this movie because it's not Tim Allen. I don't think you should boycott the movie though because it's not Tim Allen. I feel like you should just relax. Like it's a children's movie. It's not. I don't think it's that deep. I think you'd be fine just watching the movie. You don't have to like it or anything. But I feel like you should give it a shot. I feel like you should at least watch it. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I feel like it could have been better. But I'm not saying it was terrible. I didn't hate the movie. I know people hated this movie, thought it was terrible. I liked it. I liked the supporting cast. Keke Palmer, Taika Waititi. They did a fantastic job. And I think they were setting up a sequel in the post-credit scene, which was like a first for a Pixar movie, other than like the little gag with the Pixar logo at the end of all the movies, as well as the post-credit scene from Cars. But yeah, I liked the movie. I didn't love it, but I really liked it. I feel like it could have been better in a lot of places, but for what it is, I think it was pretty good. And for what they wanted to do, I think they did pretty well. Okay, next up is Thor, Love and Thunder. This was actually my most anticipated movie of this year, right in front of The Batman. And I gotta say, 8 out of 10. I was really looking forward to this movie, but there were just a couple things about it that I just wasn't really that excited about after finally watching the movie. Yeah, I wanted to see it when it came out, but like I said with Lightyear, like, times I just couldn't find a day to finally go see it. But I ended up going to see it with my brother on a Tuesday. So we paid for like really cheap tickets. I don't think I even paid anything. I think I had a gift card I used. But yeah, I was really excited to just see the movie. Like, my brother, like, I'd been wanting to go with my brother, but he kept saying like, oh, my friend said it was bad, so I don't want to go see it now. But I'm like, listen, if we can go for free, can you come with me? And, he's finally like, okay. So we went to go see it, and I don't think it's better than Ragnarok, despite, having the same director, Taika Waititi. He does a great job in lots of things he does, but I don't think this was his strongest work. I think the pace of the movie, I feel like, they wanted to make it funny like Ragnarok, and it works in some aspects, but it I don't know, it just doesn't land the same way in other aspects. The tone was very similar to Thor Ragnarok, but at the same time, it also felt very different in a lot of ways. I do think, however, the best part of the movie was Gore the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale. I would have never expected Christian Bale to join the MCU, but lo and behold, here he is, and he did a fantastic job. Even my brother was like, yeah, he was like the best part of the movie. He's a good villain. Like, he's developed really well in the beginning of the movie, and you see him do all this crazy shit, and you're just like, damn, like, it sets this tone that you also kind of had with Thor Ragnarok, where Hela was like, not like the funny one in the movie. She was like more of the serious part, and they kind of, repeated that with this movie, but it also felt really different. Like I said, like there were just a lot of things about this movie that were very different from Ragnarok in good ways and bad ways. Seeing Jane Foster back in this movie, Natalie Portman, she did a fantastic job. I would have never expected to see her back in the MCU, but I'm really glad that they brought her back. They gave her a role, a more important role this time around. And I honestly, I don't really know what she would have done in Ragnarok, so I guess it makes sense that she wasn't a part of it. I don't know what the backstory is with her, like not getting along with Marvel or something. I remember hearing something about that. I don't really know, and I don't care, honestly. But it was really nice to see her back. I guess if there was an issue, they worked it out, and they were like, "Hey, you want to be Thor?" And she was like, "Okay." And that's probably how it turned out. Let's be real. And yeah, she does a great job. But I'm gonna be a bit nitpicky though. The CGI with her mask or the helmet, I didn't like it. I like the whole disappearing looking like it's fucking Tony Stark nanotech. I thought that was a little stupid. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like it probably would have been better if she just didn't have a helmet at all. But of course, you gotta have a helmet. If she, Mighty Thor is known in the comics, from what I know, for having the helmet. So I guess they had to implement it somehow instead of her just like taking it off. It's like, oh wow, but like I don't know. It felt really cheap in my opinion. I feel like it also could have looked a lot better CGI wise. And there have been reports that, VFX artists have been rushed, and that's probably why the CGI just hasn't met the standards that people have, expected from previous installments in the MCU. Like, it started to feel a bit lackluster. Even in She-Hulk, I feel like, She-Hulk herself could probably look a bit better. But at the same time, it's like, how do you really implement that? I'm going to talk about She-Hulk in a future episode once the whole series is done. Like, I was going to talk about it today, but I've already got so much I'm discussing, so I feel like I'm going to hold that off for a future episode. Another little funny part, I mean, it got memed to death when the movie came out, but the whole thing with Heimdall's son's face just popping in, like the CGI with that just looked fucking terrible. Like my brother and I like burst out in laughter in the theater. Like I hadn't seen it or anything. Like it caught me by surprise. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? But it was I don't know. It got a laugh out of me though. From what the day I'm recording this, the day before it's supposed to release, Thor: Love and Thunder just dropped on Disney Plus. And from what I've seen, they actually fixed it up a bit. But it also doesn't look good still. So my guess is they might update it again, as time goes on. They have more time, maybe. We shall see. I don't really know. You guys know I talk about spoilers when I talk about movies on this thing, so I'll just say the post-credit scene after Jane Foster dies. Her sacrifice was very, good. I actually cried seeing her die. Like I thought it was just beautiful, and the way she passed on. I thought it was very noble, and the memorial they had for her, the statue they made for her in New Asgard, I thought was great. And seeing her in the post-credit scene going to heaven, or I forgot what it's called in the movie. I do apologize. But it's basically heaven. And then you see Heimdall. Like I was really surprised about that. I was not expecting to see Heimdall back. I figured he'd be done after Infinity War. He's in DC world now with the Suicide Squad, and he's Knuckles in the Sonic movie. He's got a pretty busy he's got a pretty big resume now compared to when he was in earlier MCU titles, and then when he sacrificed himself in the beginning of Infinity War. So it was really nice to see him again. I hope this isn't the last we see of him, but the odds are he's dead. So I don't know. I don't think we're going to see him back again. I feel like it probably just wouldn't feel right, but this one I feel like it made sense. Just like a little post-credit scene, seeing him again. It was just like a nice thing for the fans. I think was great. And I feel like that's all we really need. I don't know how to describe this, but I don't know. I feel like the vibes were just like a bit off with the movie. Maybe it's just because I was tired when I was watching the movie. I don't really know. But I don't know. I gotta watch it again, like to really, like, invest myself in it. Cause like I watched the movie and like I enjoyed it, but I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like the atmosphere of the movie was just a little off. I don't know how to describe it. Like the vibes were off. I don't want to say that. It sounds cringe, but like, you know what I'm saying. Overall, though, I really enjoyed it. 8 out of 10. I think it could have been better in a lot of aspects. I didn't hate the movie. I don't think it's bad. There were a lot of questionable moments in the movie, but I wouldn't say it's a bad movie by any means. It's a bit on the mid-tier part of my ranked list of MCU movies, and I hope that next time we see Thor, that it's on better terms. I do think this movie was, good though. I definitely think it was needed. I love the idea of, Taika Waititi getting a round 2 with making a Thor movie because he did such a great job with Ragnarok. That's one of my favorite MCU movies. And I love the fact that I love that movie so much, especially because Thor 1 and 2 just don't do it for me in regards. Like, they don't even compare to how good Ragnarok is. So while Love and Thunder is a bit of a step down from Ragnarok, it's definitely a lot better than Thor 1 and 2. And, a lot more of the movies that have come out like recently and the shows that have come out. Marvel is starting to show, a bit of mid, I guess. Not everything has been like this big bombastic, crazy experience or anything, but they're doing world building. It's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows and all that. There's going to be a couple duds, I guess, especially when they have so much stuff coming out. Like this is the second movie this year. We have another one coming out in November with Black Panther 2. And then this is all, we're also on like the fourth show this year, I think. No. Did Hawkeye end by the end of 2021? I have no idea. I think all we've had this year is Moon Knight, She-Hulk, and Miss Marvel. I can't even remember off the top of my head, but you know what I'm saying though. I kind of wish TVA Loki popped up somehow, but also at the same time, I don't know how that would be possible. I remember there being some kind of rumor that Loki was going to show up in this movie, but I'm also kind of glad that he didn't, because I feel like it would have taken away from his sacrifice in Infinity War. But at the same time, we have another version of Loki in another part of the timeline right now and all that. So who knows what's going on with that? We're getting a season 2 though. We'll talk about that later though. Dragon Ball Super Superhero. This was the first Dragon Ball movie and the first anime movie I have ever seen in theaters, and it was a treat. Let me tell you. This is probably one of the best Dragon Ball movies thus far. A little bit of history with my love for Dragon Ball. I had friends growing up that watched it religiously in like elementary school, middle school. I didn't get into it until like freshman year of high school, and then I took the entirety of high school on and off watching Dragon Ball Z, and I finally caught up in 2020, and then I watched Dragon Ball Z Kai in its entirety with my brother. That's how I showed him the show, and that's now my preferred way to watch because it takes out all the filler. By the way, Chris Stuckman just made a great video about Dragon Ball Z Kai, basically saying all the same things that I've been saying about Kai. So that's pretty cool. We also watched Dragon Ball Super, and then we watched the Broly movie afterwards. And, this picks up after the events of Broly. And, it's the first Dragon Ball movie in about 4 years. So, it's been a while. And I got to say, wow, there is a lot to unpack here. Lots of new stuff, new ideas thrown together and all sorts of stuff like that. It definitely did not go in the direction I was expecting, but I'm not complaining. Wow. Yeah, I'm still in shock, and it's been a little bit now since I've seen the movie, but I'm just thinking about it. It's like, damn, there was a lot that went down in this movie. Okay, for one, there's a time jump. After the events of Dragon Ball Super, we have Goten and Trunks. They've now been aged up. Same with Pan, Gohan's daughter. Gohan, obviously there's no visual difference because he's an adult, so they're not going to make him look any older or anything. But I'm not sure how much time has passed, but it's enough that Goten and Trunks are teenagers. I guess they're at the same age that they were in the finale of Dragon Ball Z, where there's that time jump to the future and all that. I loved the focus on Gohan and Piccolo in this movie. I feel like we don't get enough of that in Dragon Ball. I feel like, nowadays it's nothing but Goku and Vegeta. That was the entirety of Dragon Ball Super, pretty much. And then we also got that with Dragon Ball Super Broly. So to see other characters get the spotlight this time around was awesome. The Red Ribbon Army returning was really cool. I like the idea of them revisiting old ideas and, adding new lore to them and things like that. The fact that Cell was a creation of the Red Ribbon Army and, now them returning and having Gohan go up against them again as an adult was really cool. In regards to lore and world building, Piccolo gets his true potential from Shenron, similar to how the Grand Elder on Namek did so for Gohan and Krillin. We're getting that now for Piccolo. And he has a Super Saiyan God form or something. I don't know what the equivalent is, but Piccolo has a new form where he turns orange, and he can also grow really big like he did in the original Dragon Ball when he fought Goku in the tournament. That's pretty cool. My brother was I went with my brother and his friends, and they were just staring at me because they had already watched the movie because the movie came out while I was away in North Carolina, so they went to go see it, and then I saw it with them. It was their second time, it was my first time, and they're just looking at me as I'm in shock at just what I'm looking at because I didn't expect any of this. I didn't look at any information on the movie. I didn't watch any reviews, and I didn't look up. I didn't even watch trailers. I think I saw one preview image that had all the main characters in it. It had Pan, Goten, and Trunks all aged up. So I was wow, that's really cool. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. And that's all I had seen. So seeing this Super Saiyan God Piccolo or whatever they're going to, obviously they're not going to call it Super Saiyan God. I guess they're calling it Orange Piccolo or Piccolo Orange or something like that. It's kind of lazy. I mean, they did the same thing with Super Saiyan Blue. But that is better than calling it Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. So I guess they're doing a good job there. I think Gamma 1 and 2 were actually pretty likable characters. I like the idea of androids that were created that have the mind of okay, we're superheroes, we're good guys. And it turned out that the people running the Red Ribbon Army wanted to use them for evil needs and all sorts of stuff similar to what the androids did in Dragon Ball Z previously. And to see them have this, this realization that okay, yeah, we're working for the wrong side here. I thought that was really interesting. Had a really cool dynamic to it. I was really happy that they weren't pure evil or anything because I feel like we've just had that too much. And, I feel like it gave them a lot more personality. So, of course, I love seeing shit like that. The doctor, I forgot his name, unfortunately, but the one who created Gamma 1 and 2 had the intention of making them superheroes. He didn't want them to be evil or anything. So when Cell Max is released, and I had no idea about this at all. So seeing that was holy shit. It's a gigantic Cell but like pure destruction-minded, crazy alien thing. There was like no humanity to him whatsoever. It was just like a giant monster. And seeing that was pretty crazy. I figured Cell Max was going to be like a new version of Cell that was going to absorb Gamma 1 and 2, and it was going to become, perfect Cell Max or whatever the hell. But obviously that didn't happen because the creator of Gamma 1 and 2 was not evil, so, he didn't have that intention. He also created a fail-safe, so he was smart. Like, he had a plan, he had a backup plan in case, he was betrayed and the Red Ribbon Army used the Cell Max against him and then decided to take over the world or whatever the fuck they were going to do. And then you thought the Piccolo Orange thing was crazy? Oh my god, Gohan's new form is fucking nuts. I thought it was Ultra Instinct at first, but no, it's actually a completely new form. It's called Gohan Beast. It's a completely new form. He's got this like long gray hair with the red eyes. It kind of reminds me of Nazo. If you guys remember, I can't remember whether or not it was an official episode of Sonic X that had this character, but if you've seen Nazo Unleashed, it's like a Newgrounds animation from back in the day that Sonic and Shadow fought him, and it was very Dragon Ball Z inspired. So seeing that kind of reminded me of Nazo Unleashed. I don't know if that's just me, but I haven't really seen that comparison, but I also haven't really looked anywhere. But that's the way I feel, at least. There were tons of fantastic callbacks to the show, both Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, as well as the original Dragon Ball. Tons of fan service, all sorts of stuff like that. I love the comedy in Dragon Ball. Like, some people hate that shit, but I think it just adds more character at the end of the day. And, seeing Piccolo argue with Bulma about how she's wasting Dragon Ball wishes on making herself look younger, I thought was really funny. Especially since he doesn't understand things like that because he's not human. I will say, though, my one gripe with this movie is that the 3D animation style they went with looks a little strange. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I feel like it has looked better. I feel like there were parts of Dragon Ball Super Broly that had that, and I wasn't the biggest fan, but the fact that they went like all out in this movie, I don't know. It definitely looked off at times. It still kind of looks off. Like, I'm thinking about it more. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it could look better. I feel like the traditional animation with, like, the darkened tone that they have with this movie probably would have worked so much better. But, I mean, hey, maybe if this is a cheaper way of doing it, then fine. I feel like it doesn't change the movie, though. I feel like it's still a good movie. You can kind of get over that. It's just a little gripe I have, but it doesn't really mean much at the end of the day. It doesn't change my thoughts on the movie as a whole. Also, seeing Gotenks back was pretty great. I was a little disappointed that we didn't get like an older Gotenks or something like that, but I feel like that was kind of done on purpose. They can't throw all their eggs in one basket. I feel like they're probably gonna save that for another movie or something like that. Maybe we'll get another Dragon Ball show. Who knows? But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny, like having them be like the fat Gotenks. Definitely something I was not expecting. I figured maybe they would after the 30 minutes they would have, turned into Gotenks again, but did it for real. I guess they hadn't done it in so long because, Earth hadn't been under threat or anything since the Tournament of Power. Especially since Goten and Trunks weren't involved in the Tournament of Power either, so it probably has been quite a long time since they've done the fusion dance, and obviously they didn't do it right. And overall, I loved the movie, and the fact that it has now become such a huge box office success really shows that people care about movies like this, and it's crazy. No anime movie has done this well since the first Pokemon movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back. When that movie came out in 1999, I believe. I wasn't alive, so I couldn't tell you. But from what I've seen, I'm not sure, but it might even have made more at this point than Mewtwo Strikes Back. But I don't know that for sure. I just know it made around the same from the last time that I checked. But it is also the most successful Dragon Ball movie at the box office. And yeah, it's pretty crazy to see, and I'm glad it was this movie. I feel like this one deserves it. All right, next up, let's talk about San Diego Comic-Con and all the huge announcements that were made. at this convention. We'll start out with DC because I have a lot less to say in regards to this one. Their panel wasn't as crazy. They kind of crammed it all in one. Marvel had so much, and they had like 2 different panels because they had the animated shows and all the live action stuff. So to start out, Zack Snyder is going to be playing himself in an episode of Teen Titans Go, which I think is pretty hilarious. I haven't watched the show in years. I haven't watched anything related to the show since the movie came out. But just the idea of that is pretty funny. And the fact they're going to be like parodying the idea, like, you know, he's going to be talking about all the Snyderverse stuff, all the movies he's made and things like that, I think is pretty hilarious. The thing they highlighted the most with this panel is that Black Adam is coming out this year. And honestly, I can't get that excited for this movie because I just don't know the character. And I haven't seen enough of the press and all that. And from what I've seen, people are just kind of, you know, like, yay, cool, but like I don't see anyone going like crazy over this movie by any means, at least right now. This movie's also been delayed a bunch of times, and then I talked about in the last episode that it got delayed again, and now it's like the only DC movie that's coming out the rest of the year, along with Don't Worry Darling being the only other Warner Brothers movie. So Don't Worry Darling comes out at the end of this month, and then the only movie we have from Warner Brothers the rest of the year is Black Adam. So I guess it has a lot to live up to. Like, I hope it's good. I'm really looking forward to it. I love The Rock. I love Dwayne Johnson. I think he's a great actor. I think he should totally be in more movies. I don't see him in enough movies. But yeah, I hope I hope Black Adam and the Justice Society, gives the DCEU a nice refresher because, it's been a little hectic. We've had Birds of Prey, and we had the Suicide Squad, and that's pretty much it the last couple of years. So I'm hoping that, we finally get, something really cool with this movie. And I hope the same for Shazam 2, which also got a trailer and was set to come out by the end of this year, but got delayed, unfortunately. At Comic-Con, they were saying it's going to come out in December, but since then it has been delayed again. I am a little bummed by that because I love the first Shazam movie. I haven't seen it in a while, but I love that movie. I saw it in theaters. I thought it was great, and I hope that this one does well as well, because the first one was just amazing. So I'm really hoping that they pull through with the second one. And despite all the Ezra Miller controversy, the Flash movie is still coming out, although they did not discuss it. And then when they showed little bits and pieces of other characters in the Shazam 2 trailer, they did not show Ezra Miller's face as the Flash. They kind of cleverly hid it with cuts and transitions and stuff like that. So, I guess that movie's still happening. Ezra Miller has come out and apologized and is saying that they're seeking out help. So I hope that they get their shit together and, there won't be as much bad press with this Flash movie. Because I'm hoping that movie's good too. I'm kind of like, I love DC, but I will admit a lot of the movies that have come out have been hit or miss, or I just can't get that excited for them. Alongside Marvel movies. Like, Marvel movies just have a lot more hype surrounded around them. But yeah, that's all the stuff that I wrote down for the DC panel. There's probably other stuff, but I probably forgot. So let's talk about Marvel, because I have a lot more to say. They made some crazy fucking announcements. First up, the animated stuff. What If Season 2 confirmed to be coming out next year. Same with X-Men 97, which is like a revival of the 90s X-Men animated series. We already knew about this stuff, but they gave us more information. They showed us some of the characters and stuff like that. I think that's really cool. I actually started watching the X-Men cartoon. I'm like 5 episodes in. I know I have a lot to go, but I will hopefully finish that by the time the show comes out. It's going to be a while, though, so I do have time. Spider-Man freshman year, when they started showing all of the images from this show, it immediately caused confusion because by calling it freshman year and Peter Parker being 15 at the start of his MCU debut, people figured it was going to be a prequel to the events of Captain America Civil War, but that doesn't seem to be the case. I guess it's because of the Sony contract, because they even couldn't use or even mentioned Spider-Man in the She-Hulk series, and they were really looking forward to talking about Spider-Man, but unfortunately they couldn't do so. So I guess that's kind of the same thing, and that's why they had to make an animated series and also not tie it into the canon prime MCU timeline. It's like set in another universe because, you know, we have characters like Norman Osborn and Doc Ock that are showing up in this show, and you know, it contradicts a lot of stuff because, you know, you watch Spider-Man No Way Home, he's never heard of Norman Osborn, he's never heard of Otto Octavius because these characters don't exist in the prime MCU timeline, at least at the time of No Way Home. You know, maybe we'll get Oscorp in the future in like a Spider-Man 4. We don't really know as of right now. But yeah, it did cause a lot of confusion. Plus, Daredevil and Doctor Strange are in this show, which doesn't make any sense either because Doctor Strange and Peter Parker did not know each other until Avengers Infinity War, and then he didn't know Daredevil until Spider-Man No Way Home. So it's like, what the fuck's going on? But yeah, they have said it that, like, you know, after all people were confused and all that, they did come out and say, yeah, this show is not canon to the prime MCU timeline. It's set in another universe. And honestly, with that closure, that's fine. I'm sure it's still going to be a good show. I'm still going to watch it because I love Spider-Man. And seeing new Spider-Man stuff, especially if Marvel Studios is making it, I think it's going to be great. And I can't wait to see what they do with it. The I Am Groot trailer was shown as well. Those shorts are out now, and I will say I have watched them, and I think they're very wholesome. I really enjoyed watching them. They were a lot of fun. That's all I have to say, though, about that. I just wanted to throw it out there. Also, they showed a final trailer for She-Hulk. The first 4 episodes are out now as of the time this episode is going up. Like I said earlier in the episode, I will be talking about She-Hulk at a later date. I just didn't want to talk about all of it now because there's already so much I want to say. But I feel like this episode will already be so long already, so I wanted to hold it off for another time. But yeah, they showed the She-Hulk trailer. And yeah, the I Am Groot and the She-Hulk stuff was the start of the main Marvel Studios panel that they had, where they started, you know, they announced that, you know, we're now getting to the end of Phase 4. They announced that Black Panther Wakanda Forever is going to be the final project for Phase 4. It's releasing in November, on November 11th. I am very excited for this movie, but I'm also nervous because I don't know what the hell's going on with that movie. So yeah, T'Challa's dead in this movie. They did announce that they would not be recasting the character after Chadwick Boseman's passing, so this movie's just going to have to explain like why he's gone, because are they going to say cancer, or are they going to say something else? I don't know. There's just a lot of questions with this movie. The marketing is really pushing Shuri and Okoye and Nakia. So, like, you know, is one of them going to be a new Black Panther? It looks like we're getting a new Black Panther because we got a little shot at the end of the trailer, which, by the way, the trailer is fucking beautiful. Very emotional. It's going to be a very emotional movie. I guarantee it. And I think Chadwick Boseman has become one of my favorite actors, and to see, you know, his legacy now that he's been given, like, and I loved him even before he was a Marvel actor. I saw him in 42 when he played Jackie Robinson, and now that movie has a whole other meaning to it because now we have, you know, Chadwick Boseman, who also passed away, playing Jackie Robinson, and now it just, you know, it hits home a lot more than it did when I initially watched it. I've seen it twice. But yeah, that's going to be the finale of Phase 4. And then Kevin Feige made the announcement that Phase 5 will be beginning in February of next year with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It's set to come out on February 17th. That movie is going to have an aged-up Cassie Lang, played by Katherine Newton, which, from what I've heard, they did not inform the person who played Cassie Lang in Endgame that she was being recasted, which is unfortunate because I feel like I didn't really see a problem. But I do like Katherine Newton. I thought she was great in Detective Pikachu and Freaky, and I think she'll do a great job. I just think it's a little unfair, though, for the actress who played Cassie Lang in Endgame. I feel like, you know, she was kind of, you know, thrown to the side for a more well-known actress. But hey, I guess that's business. Secret Invasion is coming out in the spring of 2023. There's so much about that show that I have so many questions about, like, you know, how that's going to work. I have to watch Captain Marvel again. I haven't seen it since it came out. I got to refresh myself with a lot of that, especially with that, and then the Marvels coming out next year. All the stuff with the Skrulls and whatnot. But yeah, seeing Nick Fury come back and then Colby Smulders as Maria Hill, especially now that I've seen How I Met Your Mother, I'm just really excited to see Colby Smulders in Marvel things. So yeah, seeing her back is going to be really cool. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will be the next project, releasing on May 5th, 2023. And it was a very emotional part of the panel. The whole cast came out and have said, like, this is going to be the final Guardians film with this cast and this crew. And it's going to wrap up a lot of loose ends. It's going to, give us, the details on, like, what the future of the MCU holds, after this movie and all that. Gamora is going to be in the movie. It's going to be the Gamora that was, that showed up with Thanos and his army in Endgame. So not, of course, not our Gamora because she's dead. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where this movie goes. I got to watch the Guardians movies again. It's been a while. But yeah, I'm really excited for that movie. I hope it's good. I'm sure it will be. Echo is set to come out in summer of 2023. This is like a spin-off follow-up to the Hawkeye series we got last year. I'm really excited to see that. And Daredevil and Kingpin are already confirmed to be a part of that show. So that's really cool. Really excited to see where they go with that. Loki Season 2 is set for summer 2023. This is the first of the live-action MCU shows that's getting a second season. And I think it's well-deserved for Loki. While I do have my gripes with Loki, after being in retrospect and have it's been out for a while, I've adjusted to it more. I really love where they went, with the cliffhanger at the end of that show, and I'm really excited to see where we go after that because that show is very important to the future with Kang the Conqueror. So the fact that show is getting a second season means a lot. So I'm really excited to see where they go with that. The Marvels is set to come out on July 27th, 2023. We got a bit of a cliffhanger at the end of Miss Marvel when I guess Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel switch places. So I guess we're going to find out that Miss Marvel's in space and Captain Marvel's got to save her or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's cool. I'm really excited for that movie because I'm sure I'm probably going to enjoy this one a lot more than I did the first one. I feel like the first movie was just so mediocre, and it's a shame because, they were really building that movie up to be, very important because Captain Marvel would have a prominent role in Endgame and stuff like that. Because of the way Captain Marvel turned out, I feel like they just kind of shoehorned her into Endgame, and I feel like it just doesn't feel as great as it should. I have mentioned this before that, I'm kind of bummed out about all that, but I'm hoping that the Marvels will make up for a lot of that. And, having Monica Rambeau come back in this movie is also going to be great because I loved her in WandaVision. So I'm really looking forward to the Marvels. I hope it's a lot better than the first one. Ironheart, which is going to have its setup in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, is coming out in the fall of 2023. Blade, which I'm very excited for now that I've finally seen the original trilogy, and having Blade show up at the end of Eternals was really cool. That movie's coming out November 3rd. I am beyond excited for that movie. I love Mahershala Ali as an actor. So to see him in the role is going to be fantastic. I can't wait to start seeing set photos. From what I've heard, the movie's going to start filming in October, so that's really exciting. Yeah, I'm just very excited for this movie. I hope this, ties in, maybe we'll get like a Midnight Suns show. I know D23 panel and stuff is this weekend. I might talk about that in the next solo episode or something like that. But yeah, Blade, very hyped for that. Agatha, Coven of Chaos, which is going to be a spinoff of WandaVision, because Agatha Harkness was set up in WandaVision. It was initially called House of Harkness, but I guess they've given it a new title, which is perfectly fine. That's going to be coming out at the very end of 2023, and it's going to be going into 2024, so like December, January, similar to the Book of Boba Fett. Daredevil Born Again is set to come out in the spring of 2024 with 18 episodes in one season. So this is going to be not only probably one of the most hyped MCU shows to date, but also the longest one so far. We already know he's going to be appearing in She-Hulk. As of me recording this, he has not shown up in She-Hulk yet, but the fact that he's going to have his own show again, now I really got to watch the Daredevil show. I still have yet to watch any of the Marvel shows made for Netflix that are now on Disney+. So I have a lot of homework to do leading up to spring 2024. Maybe even spring 2023 or summer when Echo comes out, because I know Daredevil's going to be in Echo as well. So yeah, I got a lot of shows to watch over the next few months or so. I might get that started pretty soon, actually. The first movie of 2024 is going to be Captain America New World Order. This is the 4th Captain America movie, and this will be the one that stars Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson, the Falcon, now Captain America, as of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is going to be crazy. I'm really excited to see what they do with this movie. New World Order, I'm not sure if that means Hydra or something, but I'm really excited to see what they do with this movie. Like the fact that Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson, is getting his own solo outing as a film, as a follow-up to a Disney Plus show, is awesome on its own. And I can't wait to see what happens in this movie. I hope it's great. I'm sure it will be. None of the Captain America movies have disappointed me thus far, so I don't see why this one would. The end of Phase 5 is going to be the MCU's version of the Suicide Squad, kind of, Thunderbolts, which is set to star Florence Pugh as Yelena, Baron Zemo, the U.S. Agent. There's a lot going on in this movie. It's basically like a hit squad, I guess, set up by Valentina. We've kind of gotten that a bit in some of the projects, like, at the end of Black Widow, Valentina shows up to assign Yelena in order to kill Hawkeye, and then we get that resolved in the end of Hawkeye. She also comes around at the end of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier to recruit John Walker as the U.S. agent. My guess is that Zemo will probably end up in the movie as well. And with them building up Abomination again and She-Hulk and Shang-Chi, maybe we'll get him in this movie as well. Maybe they'll force him to turn into Abomination even if he doesn't want to do it. I'm just kind of concerned because now with William Hurt passing away, I'm pretty sure they were setting him up to be a Red Hulk, but how are they going to do that now? It makes me wonder, like, how are they going to make this movie work? And I'm sure they'll figure it out. If they're going to be able to make Black Panther 2 work, I don't see why they can't make the Thunderbolts work. Of course, rest in peace, William Hurt. And that's the end of Phase 5. It ends in the middle of the summer in 2024. And then Phase 6 kicks off by the end of the year. We have a couple of titles that have not been announced yet. We also know that Armor Wars is probably going to be one of those. We did get an Armor Wars announcement previously, but it was not shown on the timeline. I can't imagine that show's canceled. Also, the people behind it have said, yes, that show is still happening. It's just that it was not announced alongside all the other stuff. But we did get the announcement of 3 titles from Phase 6. The first one being that the Fantastic Four is going to be coming out on November 8th, 2024. Then there's going to be 2 placeholders for fall 2024, probably Disney Plus shows of some kind. Then one for winter 2024, winter 2025, 2 for spring 2025, and then on May 2nd, 2025, we're getting Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. This is going to be a huge movie on so many levels. This is going to be the 5th Avengers movie. It's probably going to have a star-studded cast with all the people they've been building up with all these shows and movies since the beginning of 2021. There's just so much that we could possibly get with this movie, and they're really setting up Kang the Conqueror already. We got him in Loki as He Who Remains, and then we have him coming out and being the main part of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, the main villain in that movie, and that's gonna set up the future, for that, and that's 2 years prior to Kang Dynasty, so he'll probably be popping up more and more in other projects, because there's like infinite versions of him across the entire multiverse. So there's probably going to be tons of shenanigans throughout a bunch of the projects throughout those 2 years. And then after Kang Dynasty, we have 2 placeholders for the summer of 2025, probably more Disney Plus titles. And then Avengers Secret Wars, Avengers 6 on November 7th, 2025. In the same year, may I remind you, we are getting 2 Avengers films in the same year. That is crazy. I remember the last big franchise to really do that was The Matrix in 2003. We got Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolution in 2003. And I guess they're doing that with the Avengers. People have said, though, that you probably shouldn't be surprised if Avengers 6 ends up getting delayed. Plus, these are dates for 2025, 3 years from now, and we're in 2022. And if you guys remember, over the years, they've made tons of changes, over time. So I can't imagine this is the final timeline. There will probably be changes of some kind. Plus, there's been stuff that hasn't been announced yet. They'll probably shuffle around a couple things. They had to do that especially because of COVID with Phase 4. That was supposed to end by the end of 2021, but, now we're in 2022 and it's still not done. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack. And yeah, Phase 6, that's going to be the end of the multiverse saga. They've officially announced that phases 4, 5, and 6 are the multiverse saga, just like how phases 1, 2, and 3 are the Infinity Saga. So I am beyond hyped. I got to do my research because I don't really know much about Kang the Conqueror, but I also didn't know much about Thanos going into Infinity War, but he's become probably the best villain that the MCU has ever seen, and I hope that Kang the Conqueror lives up to that. Obviously, I'm not expecting him to be as good as Thanos or better than Thanos or worse than Thanos. I'm going in with an open mind. I'm just really hoping for some badass action and cool character moments and all sorts of stuff like that, as we've grown to expect from Marvel projects. And yeah, there's so much. Phase 6 only lasts roughly a year. Only 3 movies that we know of so far. Those placeholders might be movies. Most of them will probably be Disney Plus shows. But yeah, there's so much to unpack. They I figured, okay, they're gonna announce stuff for Phase 5, but they started Phase 6 and then announced that the next 2 Avengers movies are coming out within the same year. That's fucking crazy, man. I'm still trying to process that, and it's been about a month at this point since the panel. So, there's been some time. But yeah, that's all I have to say about all the Marvel stuff at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm really excited to see where they go from here. And yeah, next up, we're going to talk about the King Kong show that's headed to Disney Plus. So there's a new King Kong show in the works. It follows in line with the original story that was told about King Kong, with Skull Island and him being transported to a city and him carrying a woman up a tower. That's the story they're going to be going with, from what I understand. And this is not set in the Warner Brothers Monsterverse they've been setting up with Godzilla and King Kong and all that. This is its own thing by a completely different studio. Those stories are in the public domain, so that's why they can get away with doing something like this, along with Legendary Pictures and the Monsterverse, doing their thing with Warner Brothers. That might even be in jeopardy now, because apparently Legendary Pictures is looking to go with another studio because of all the shit with Warner Brothers that's been happening. I'm not sure if I can't remember whether or not I mentioned that last time, but that's a thing as well. So who knows what the future of that is, if we're even still getting a Godzilla vs. Kong 2. We have no idea. But I'm interested to see what they do with this King Kong series. I feel like this will probably bring in some numbers for Disney Plus. It's going to be, this King Kong is a popular character in media, so it'll be nice to have something other than Marvel and Star Wars take up all of the attention for Disney Plus, because while they make other things, they're just not on the same level in regards to how many people give a shit. Let's be real. There's been a lot of lackluster, mediocre stuff that Disney throws their money at and makes into projects, and I feel like Marvel and Star Wars thus far have mostly been what I've watched on Disney Plus. I've watched some original movies and stuff like that, original shows, and they just don't hit the same. There have been stuff that I haven't seen. I know there's a Percy Jackson show in the works. I know nothing about Percy Jackson, though, so I don't know if I'm gonna watch that right away. I gotta watch those 2 movies they made like a couple years ago. I know that the only reason they're making this Percy Jackson show now is because they got the rights to do so because of the Fox buyout. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack with that. I'm really excited to see what they do with this King Kong show, and I hope it's good. All right, let's talk about Halloween Ends. This is going to be the last Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis versus Michael Myers movie. Probably not the last Halloween movie ever. Like, let's be real. They've rebooted the franchise so many times already. But this is going to be like the final one with Jamie Lee Curtis, and I think that's really cool. You know, the marketing for this movie is more than I've ever seen for the last 2 Halloween movies. They're really trying to build this one up, and I think that's great. I hope it does well. I still have to watch Halloween Kills. I still haven't seen it, but I'm really excited to see what they do with this new movie. I have no idea what's going to happen because I haven't seen Halloween Kills. The interesting thing is as to why I'm bringing it up, however, is because even now, despite most studios going back to the formula of releasing a movie in theaters first and not releasing it day and day with streaming, they're still doing that with Halloween Ends. They're going to be releasing it day and day in theaters and on Peacock. So if you have a Peacock subscription, you can watch Halloween Ends the day it comes out in theaters right from your home. Which, I mean, yeah, that's great. You know, I love the convenience factor of that. You know, Warner Brothers did that with all of their movies for 2021. They put them all on HBO Max day and day for the first 30 days. You could watch them. And, you know, I figured we were done with that. You know, the box office is doing well again. You know, people are going back to the theaters, and even still, a big movie like this is probably going to hit a major loss because of the fact that a lot of people are going to be sitting at home watching it because they're like, oh, why would I spend a premium at the theater when I can just pay a $4.99 subscription and just watch it for free at home? Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I just feel like it's just not necessary. I feel like, you know, this is like a movie like this should be like praised. Like, yeah, I think they did the same thing with Halloween Kills where they released it day and day, but you know, that made more sense because we were still in COVID times with lockdown and movie theaters not being open everywhere, masks still being required in most places and things like that. But now we're pretty much past that to, you know, a big degree, but they're still doing it. And I don't know, man. I feel like they're missing out on a lot of money. I feel like, you know, if they release this in theaters exclusively, it would probably do a lot better. And I mean, you know, hey, they're executives. They have their minds set on a lot of things. You know, I may not agree with things, but obviously I have no power over them, and they're probably not going to change their mind on it. They've already made this decision. That's just how it's going to be. I will definitely go see it in theaters, though. I don't have a Peacock subscription. I had it for a little bit. I never really used it. I don't know. I didn't really see much on there that I really cared for. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I think it's a little silly. I think it's a little redundant, but hey. And finally, the KSI Misfits Boxing event that took place a few weeks ago. I have yet to talk about influencer boxing here, but I figured, you know, maybe this will give me a reason to start. I wanted to talk about Creator Clash back when that happened. I will say real quick that is probably the best thing that has come out of influencer boxing. Easily the most entertaining event thus far in the last 4 years that we've had these events. I will say I have paid for pay-per-views in the past for these events. I paid for the first KSI Logan Paul match. I paid for a DAZN subscription to get access to KSI versus Logan Paul 2. I paid for a pay-per-view for Creator Clash. However, I did not get a pay-per-view for this Misfits Boxing event that KSI put on because, one, I knew I was not going to be able to watch it live because I'd be on a train with shitty cell service and Wi-Fi that doesn't let me watch videos because then it would make the Wi-Fi slow for everyone else, so I wouldn't be able to watch it anyway. And yeah, that's why I didn't. Did I say one? That is the only reason. I also just because I was excited for this event, especially before they made all the changes. But I I just didn't feel like I wanted to pay for that. Like, I feel like a KSI versus Logan Paul or KSI versus Jake Paul fight sounds more exciting than KSI versus Alex Wasabi. Like, I just didn't care enough to really be like, I want to pay for this event. But I was excited to watch the highlights. I watched the fights afterwards, and I was really entertained. I have not watched every single fight. Most of them I didn't really care for. I would have watched them if I had seen them live, but since I did not pay for the subscription, I didn't go out of my way to watch all of them. Plus, there were so many changes that they made with this event, and of course, some of it was out of their control. But easily, I think the best part of this night was watching Deji get a W, because people have been clamoring for this man to finally win a fight. He has never won a boxing match, but he finally did against Fuzi. And I think it was great, seeing like getting these two fighters that had pretty much lost all their fights they'd been in to fight each other, and Deji coming out on top was like the best feeling. Like seeing that, like, how happy everyone was. Like I was so excited to finally see him win, because, like, yeah, he lost against Jake Paul, it's whatever. But then seeing him lose to Vinny Hacker, him being the only YouTuber to lose in that Battle of the Platforms thing, which I didn't really give a shit about. I didn't care for any of that, because I don't care for most of the content creators on there. I just thought it was interesting to see Deji on there. But him being the only person from the YouTube side that lost, really stood out to me, and I was like, damn, like this, he was just not in it. Like, he wasn't prepared. And then seeing him lose again to Alex Wasabi, I thought was, a little sad, because I've never been able to take Alex Wasabi that seriously. So seeing that was kind of like, oh, damn. But then, I'm so proud of Deji though. Like seeing him constantly lose sucked, but finally seeing him win just felt so great, and I'm so glad that it happened. Initially with this card, we were going to have KSI versus Alex Wasabi as the main fight of the night, but it turned out that wasn't the case. Apparently Alex Wasabi had a concussion during training and he had to drop out. So JJ got a replacement fighter in Swarms, a UK rapper who's never fought in his life, at least in a boxing ring, and it showed. But honestly, he put up a better fight than the other guy. I'll get to that in a second. Yeah, I don't know. It just felt so underwhelming. I feel like at the end of the day, the KSI versus Alex Wasabi fight would have been a lot more entertaining, because at least with that one, there's like history there, because Alex beat Deji, and JJ was supposed to be avenging him. That was like the whole idea with that. That's why they were fighting in the first place. But I don't know, just seeing like this guy, I didn't know who Swarms was. I don't think anyone did. And then the fucking Pineda fight was like, what the fuck was that? He was like complaining the entire time. He kept like getting knocked down and was like, whining like a little baby. Like, he gets hit on the side of the head and then he's like, oh, you hit me in the back of the head. Like, I don't know. It was just so embarrassing. And then the fact that JJ was doing fucking push-ups in the middle of the rounds. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Is this like a circus? Like, it made me glad that I didn't pay for the event, because I felt like I would have been ripped off. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't really see the value in the two main fights. And, I liked the idea, like, oh, wow, he's fighting two people in one night. That's interesting. That hasn't been done in an influencer boxing event thus far. And, the idea of him fighting a pro fighter, that was like the whole idea. I'm glad it was Pineda, though, and not the white supremacist, because that would have been a whole thing. But yeah, I wish the fights were better, but now I guess JJ can say he fought a pro boxer before Jake Paul did. Blueface was also initially supposed to fight, but I guess his fight got dropped because of an altercation he got into with his girlfriend. I remember seeing the poster initially, and I was like, damn, Blueface is on a KSI boxing card? That's pretty cool. But then I saw he wasn't on there. I was kind of confused, but then I realized, like, oh, yeah, he got in a fight with his girlfriend. That's probably why he's not on it anymore. And then JJ ends the night by calling out a couple people. More notably, he calls out whoever wins the Austin McBroom versus Gibb fight that apparently is not selling well at all. But are you really surprised, though? I don't care. I've never cared for the Ace family or Austin McBroom, and I liked the idea that Gibb, that Gibb stood up to Jake Paul, and I mean, yeah, he got his ass beat, but then he won his Battle of the Platforms fight. That was cool. I hope Gibb wins because he's the one that maybe I can at least tolerate. I don't know. But yeah, no one really cares about that fight, unfortunately. But JJ said he wants to fight the winner. I figured he'd want to fight Austin McBroom, but I mean, if Austin loses, then it's like, why would he want to fight Austin? But I don't know. Maybe it's just at the end of the day, it's just going to be for fun because I feel like him and Gibb are probably more friendly because Gibb wanted to fight Jake Paul so bad, and JJ was there in support of Gibb when they fought. So I guess that'll be interesting if he fights Gibb. It's not going to mean anything. Like it's not going to be like crazy. I feel like that one wouldn't be as exciting because there's no like beef or anything. I feel like if I had to choose like who he'd be better off fighting, it'd probably be Austin McBroom because I kind of want to see him just get punched in the face. I think it'd just be funny. But then he had to ruin it though by calling out Andrew Tate, and yeah, fuck that guy. I don't think he should be given a platform to spread misogynistic views and saying all these things about women that are outdated, and him just being like, oh, Google it, and him just being wrong about a lot of things that he says. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Logan Paul on this one. We should not be giving this guy a platform because he is not a good person. And yeah, that's my thoughts on the event. I thought it was pretty cool from what I saw. I'm hoping that the next influencer boxing event is better. I feel like this one could have been a lot better, but there were a lot of circumstances that they couldn't really get out of. I hope that someday we do get to see Alex Wasabi fight JJ, but I mean, let's be honest, what's the point in that happening? Deji won his fight. It's not going to mean anything. But yeah, that's where I'm going to end off today's episode. This was a pretty long solo episode. I had a lot to talk about today. Stay tuned. I got more stuff coming up. I've been talking with a handful of people, getting the ball rolling. We've got a returning guest coming up, as well as a few other people that haven't been on the podcast yet that are really interested in doing so. So stay tuned for those. Those will be coming out in the next couple weeks. If you guys enjoyed this episode, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, leave a comment, share with your friends, subscribe, hit the bell, follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Make sure to follow the podcast. You can watch clips and all that and get updates on when new episodes are dropping, a little behind-the-scenes stuff. Also, if you're listening on audio, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Audible, Amazon Music, whatever it is, drop a follow or subscribe, leave a rating, write a review. Let me know what you think of the show. That said, thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.